Hi, loves. Happy to have you back. I'm so happy to see all of your faces. How's everybody doing today? I see some thumbs ups. Okay, okay. We're working with a good day all around. Good, good. Well, I think that you guys are going to like today. We're going to continue our communication unit. Remember that we started this week. So at the beginning of the week, okay, I introduced the communication unit. We talked about different modes of communication, things like that. I told you guys that we would be specifically digging into two different types of communication. Okay, we started doing that yesterday with the first type of communication. Can anybody tell me what was that first type of communication that we covered yesterday? We gave the definition, some examples. We really dug it. Very good. Verbal communication. Verbal communication. Thank you, Elisha, for that. Okay, so we talked about verbal communication. What is verbal communication? You know? Okay, go ahead, sweetheart. Okay. Yes, exactly, exactly. So this is communicating with people using our words, okay? We want to express our feelings and our thoughts using our words. Now, when I say using our words, do I only mean like words that come out of your mouth, or are there other ways you can communicate verbally? Yes, yes, yes. There are other ways. One of those ways that I talked about yesterday is the easy one. So I'm going to get it out the way. It's text messaging, right? Okay. So you guys text message all the time. That's verbal communication. Yes, writing a letter. Very good. Writing a letter is verbal communication. Okay, so there are different ways that you can communicate verbally using your words. Now, we dug into that yesterday. We're going to continue to revisit that, but today I want to talk about the second type. Okay, so if yesterday we talked about verbal communication, does anybody remember the second type of communication? In fact, I'm going to pick somebody. Why don't you tell me, Cohen? What type of communication do you think we may talk about today? Nonverbal communication, exactly. So, this is the communication that happens without using your words. Okay? And when we talk about nonverbal communication today, you guys, I want you guys to pay specific attention to our learning target. Okay? I want you guys to be able to really look at the nonverbal cues that you're receiving on a daily basis and understand what they mean, understand the messages being conveyed. Also, we're going to look at 6 aspects of nonverbal communication, and that is something I want you guys to really pay attention to because I want you to understand those and be able to define them. Okay? All of your professional and personal relationships, you guys, communication is going to be a huge cornerstone in those. Okay, so you have to be more sensitive to body language and posture and tone of voice, things like that. Fortunately, we do this all the time already. So raise your hand if you have ever seen an episode of Tom and Jerry. Wow, I thought there would be a lot more of you. I guess I'm old. Okay, so about half of you. Super cute cat and mouse show for those who have not seen Tom and Jerry. They have all of these conflicts, but they do not use words. So you watch this show and you interpret the conflict based on the body language of the animals, the facial expressions, things like that. Okay, what about this guy in the purple hoodie? Raise your hand if you've okay, I knew that's where I would get more people. This guy has 100 million followers. I'm sorry, I told you I'm old. Subscribers on TikTok, 100 million. And he says no words. He does like the life hack videos where he's like, and he shows people the obvious answer, but he doesn't talk. There's 100 million people out there who are just great at decoding his nonverbal cues, right? And then finally, we have A Quiet Place. If you've watched this movie, there's a family who has to stay pretty much silent in order to keep themselves safe from the dangers of whatever that is in the woods. Okay, so they build a home by a waterfall in order to try to do this, but most of the movie, and I do mean like a good 98%, is nonverbal. So if you got those, then you get this nonverbal communication. If you've ever watched any of those and understood, then this should be a piece of cake, right? Right now, we're going to take out our journals. Okay, this is going to serve as your exit ticket. I'm going to give you a definition for each of these 6 aspects of nonverbal communication. Okay, as I talk, you guys, I want you to write down a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what each aspect means. Okay, so we're going to start with eye contact. Eye contact is huge in nonverbal communication. And when you are talking to someone, eye contact can let them know if you're interested. It could also help you determine if someone is being truthful with you or not. Imagine somebody telling you a reason or, giving you an excuse, and the whole time they're talking, their eyes are like this. Not going to believe them, right? So that's eye contact. What about gestures? Gestures are the bodily movements that we do that either accompany conversation. You see these gestures that I'm doing. Okay, these are enhancing the things that I'm saying and kind of driving my point in. Or there are some gestures that kind of stand alone. So if you look at your kid brother and you're like, what does that mean? Anybody know what that means? Kylie. Exactly. You want him to be quiet. Okay, very good. What's this one mean, guys? Good job. Very good. It does. It means good job. All right. Next one is personal space. Hey, so personal space we really didn't pay attention to a whole lot until the pandemic, but now it's a huge deal. If somebody is too close to you in communication, if they're invading your personal space, it can get uncomfortable. So when you're communicating with people, make sure you have an adequate amount of space created for the situation. Okay, and then your posture. When somebody is focused on what you're saying, okay, they have their shoulders back, they have their head up, they are listening, they are all in, okay, that communicates a totally different message than a person who's listening to you like this. Okay, that person doesn't look like they care very much at all, right? You don't know if they're really listening, okay? That is posture. We look at people in the way they walk, the way they stand, the way they do everything, and we make judgments based on that. Then we have facial expressions. This thing helps us to communicate lots of feelings without ever saying a word. You know that I'm happy. You know that I'm sad. You know if I'm angry. You know if I'm surprised. You know if I'm scared. Your face can say a lot of things. And then we have physical contact. Okay, so imagine getting a huge bear hug. What does that communicate to you? Maybe I miss you. Maybe I love you. What about a handshake? Okay, man to man. If there's a boss who's shaking his employee's hand and it's a weak shake, what could that communicate? Let's look at some more nonverbal messages and cues. We're going to look at gestures here. Okay, and I'm going to separate you guys into your small groups. Okay, and when you get there, you guys are going to take turns reading the things in this left column. And in the right column, you're going to give me at least 2 possible meanings, okay? 2 possible meanings for the things that the gestures being described on the left. So let's do the first few together. They gave us number 1, shrugging your shoulders. That could mean that you don't know, but it could also mean that you don't care about something. Let's look at number 2. Leaning forward when sitting opposite someone. So if you're talking to someone and then they lean in like this, what could that communicate? Thank you, Zavon. Yes, that they're interested in what you're talking about. What else could it communicate? Anybody know? Blaze, what else could that communicate? If you lean forward, that you cannot hear the person. Very good. Y'all got this. Staring at someone. What do you think that communicates? Yes, you could be staring blankly because you're confused at what the person might be saying. But it could also, do you guys think that it could also communicate that you're being distracted in some way? Maybe you're staring at this person because they're acting as a distraction from what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So, lots of these things could go a lot of ways. I'm going to give you guys some time to work in your small groups. When you guys finish, we'll come back here. We'll share some of those answers, and then we'll move on to watching a short video together. And I'll explain the assignment that you guys are going to do for your assessment here in a bit. Okay? At this point, I would let the students go do group work, and when they came back, we'd review those things and then go over this independent practice. Oh, you guys, those were such amazing answers. I think you guys have this whole nonverbal thing down. You guys got it. All right, so we are going to watch this video really quickly. At this point, I will play the video. So we identified a lot of emotions as we watched those videos based on the body language that we saw and the facial expressions because there were no words in that silent film, right? So what our assignment is, you guys are going to work independently now to create a voiceover for the video that we just watched, okay? You are going to look at some of the different things that happened throughout the video, look at some of the facial expressions, and then put together some dialogue for me. So here we can see that Mr. Chaplin, his body language kind of is standing back. If the bar wasn't in his face, we could see that he's like, ah, okay? That communicates fear. So you would make sure that you inserted that into the dialogue. I could see that whatever he was saying says, hey, I'm a little scared in here, okay? Next, you are going to write a script, okay? Your script is going to contain Mr. Chaplin. It needs to also include the lion and the woman. Okay? All three of those people need speaking parts. I know lions don't talk, okay? But what would the lion say based on its body language and its reactions in this film? Okay, the app that we're going to be using is going to be the Animotica app. You should everybody already has it on their device because we used it the last time we did our video project. So load up Animotica. A couple of things about that. Everybody, if you don't remember, it's in your class link. Okay, but a couple things about Animotica. Do not forget to use the format to label your assignment that we always do. Put your last name first, okay? When you get the video uploaded, make sure to mute the video before you begin or else you'll be talking over the piano the whole entire time. You don't want to do that. Okay, so this is your quick start guide. You guys are going to have this posted in the Google Classroom. Mind you, this link actually gets you to the video, okay? And these are some of the instructions. However, I have posted a step-by-step video that you need to look at before you begin the voiceover assignment, before you begin. Okay, as class ends, I just did want to take the time to discuss the differentiated instruction techniques that are going to be used to make sure that this lesson is driven home. These are, I had a small group activity in my lesson, and these are my small groups. So we have Cohen, Jaden, and Matthew in a group. And the reason I did that was very strategic. Cohen is, I might say that I gave all of these students personalities just like I was in a brick and mortar classroom. So Cohen is my strong student. He really has it down. He's advanced. Everything is caught up. He's even doing extra credit. So I trust that I could put him with Matthew, who might need a little bit of help, and with Jaden, who struggles in the reading area, for this assignment. And that Cohen will be strong enough to kind of help both of those guys out and maybe even motivate Matthew because, you know, in Matthew's personality scheme of my class, he actually has been absent a lot. And so he kind of just needs help getting to that mastery level for that reason. Okay. In the rest of the groups, I kind of followed the same format. As you can see, I tried to put someone that was advanced in groups where I knew that there was somebody who was struggling with reading comprehension. That way, when we go through that small group lesson, there'll be somebody there for those who struggle with reading comprehension to kind of explain exactly what the description of those gestures means or looks like. So that was my method there. Again, same kind of thing for those that need additional help. I wanted them with a strong student, whether it be to just kind of pull them up in, you know, the small ways that students often need. Maybe sometimes they just, you know, didn't do it. And that's why they're falling behind. And so I feel like having these stronger students along with the students that need the additional help to achieve mastery is going to be very helpful, along with the IEP students, the students with IEP goals, being with those strong students as well. Now, if you'll notice, I have Elisha down in group 7, although Elisha does have an IEP. The reason I've done this is because their IEP is specific to math calculation, and it will not be affected in this lesson. We won't have to touch on that. So Elisha is actually a really strong student in the reading comprehension department. Because there's a group of 4, I wanted to make sure that we had 2 people who were proficient there, along with Garen and David, to kind of help bring them up to speed. So that is the method to my madness as far as my differentiated instruction. Now, my note at the bottom says students in blue, they will return to my small group session in the afternoon, where we are going to focus specifically on reading and comprehending the activity as well as the instructions for independent practice. Okay, so I want to get those students back with me, the people who have a little bit of trouble reading or comprehending certain things. Again, maybe not Elisha in this case. I may replace him with one of the students in red that I've identified as needing a little bit of extra assistance, or anybody else in the class who could use it for that matter. Okay, but anybody who I see needs help, I will have them to come to my small group session. We will go over the small group assignment that we did in our live class, and then additionally go over the step-by-step instructions for the independent practice so that I can ensure that I'm setting them up to be successful. Once I get them into my small group, I will ask questions, probing questions, just so I can feel confident that they understand what to do and what exactly to do in order to achieve greatness on the assignment, and not just this assignment, on every assignment. And so I'm so extra, but I really believe that each student can achieve greatness regardless of where they fall, and how much or how little differentiated and individualized instruction that they need. So this is the methods to my madness. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss, to teach for you, and also to discuss kind of some strategies that I've used. Thank you so much.